AITA for getting payback after my family hijacked my housewarming for a baby shower? My name is Nicole Bennett. I am 34 years old, and after several years of working, saving, and paying a mortgage that still squeezes me every month, I finally bought my own house. It was not a mansion or anything extravagant. It was a 3-bedroom townhome in a small condominium complex on a quiet street in Chandler, Arizona. It was not brand new or luxurious, but it was in a good location, and for me that meant everything. For years, I had only seen places like that in advertisements while figuring out how to make ends meet and setting aside whatever I could for the down payment. I work in financial administration, and even so, it was not easy. There were bonuses I did not spend, vacations I postponed, and months where I preferred to eat simple meals rather than touch my savings. Anyone else would have thrown a party as soon as they were handed the keys. I wanted everything to be the way I had imagined it. I took weeks to choose furniture without buying the first thing I found on sale. The couch had to look good, but it also had to be comfortable. The dining table had to seat 6 people because I wanted to use my house to host people, not just admire it. I also bought some paintings that I genuinely liked, not just any prints to fill the walls. My friends texted me often. "When is the party, Nicole? We want to see your new house." I told them soon and asked them to give me a little more time. Until one afternoon, I stood in the middle of the living room. I looked around and realized I could finally invite people without feeling like everything was still half done. The house was clean, tidy, and warm. There were still a few details to sort out, of course, but it already felt like mine. So I called my closest friends. I do not have a huge list of people, but I do have 5 or 6 people I love and trust. I told them I was finally going to have the housewarming party and asked if they could come in 2 weeks, on Saturday the 15th at 2 o'clock. They all got excited and said yes almost immediately. With my family, sending a message was not enough. I felt I had to invite them in person. That same afternoon, I went to have dinner at my parents' house in Tempe. It is the same house where I grew up, smaller than mine but comfortable. My mom almost always has something on the stove, and my dad is usually sitting and watching whatever game is on. I left before rush hour. The distance between Chandler and Tempe is not that great, but in this area, it is never a good idea to be overconfident with traffic. Without rain and with normal traffic, I arrived quickly. When I parked, I saw 2 other cars outside. My sister Kayla's and her husband Derek's. I should have guessed they would be there. Kayla was around 7 months pregnant, and lately she spent a lot of time at my parents' house. I think she liked feeling taken care of, and to be fair, a pregnancy does change a lot of things. The problem was that in my family, anything related to Kayla always ended up taking up all the space. I went in and everyone was in the living room. My mom was fussing over Kayla, adjusting a cushion behind her back. My dad and Derek were talking about work. Kayla was in the middle with one hand on her belly, telling everyone that the baby had not stopped moving all day. Everyone listened to her with an attention that I would have been embarrassed to ask for. I sat down and waited for an opening. When there was a pause, I took advantage of it. "I wanted to tell you something. I am finally having the housewarming party. It will be on Saturday the 15th at 2 o'clock. I would love it if you could come." My mom smiled, but not with the excitement one expects from their mother when sharing news like this. "Oh, how nice, honey. We will see. But yes, sure, hopefully." Kayla barely looked up from her phone. "Yeah, maybe." I kept waiting for something more, and how exciting, finally. Anything. But they went back to their own conversation as if I had only mentioned changing a light bulb. Then Kayla lifted her head. "Oh, that reminded me that we are already planning the baby shower. We were just thinking about that same weekend." "What day did you say?" "The 15th, I repeated. "Oh man, we were thinking about the 14th or the 15th too, but we will see later." And just like that, without further discussion, the whole conversation shifted to Kayla's baby shower. They talked about the decorations, the dessert table, the games, and who they were going to invite. My mom took out her cell phone to look for ideas. My dad even stopped watching television to give his opinion. I sat there watching how enthusiastic they became about Kayla's party, while my gathering received an almost obligatory reaction. To be honest, it did not surprise me that much. In my family, it had always been like that. When we were little girls, Kayla was the one who got the big parties. When I turned 8 years old, they let me invite 4 friends over to the house. There was cake and ice cream, and that was it. When Kayla turned 8, my mom rented a recreation center and invited half of her school grade. When I asked why mine had been so different, my mom told me, "It is because Kayla socializes more, honey." In high school, when I received honors grades, my dad told me, "Well done." And that was all. When Kayla made the dance team, they threw a dinner for her at her favorite restaurant and even invited my grandparents. It is not that they did not love me. I know they do in their own way. But over the years, I learned that Kayla was always given priority. I almost always ended up accommodating myself. I stayed another hour listening to them plan the baby shower. A couple of times I tried to mention my party again, and each time someone nodded, said something vague, and returned to the topic of the pregnancy. Eventually I stood up. "Well, I am leaving now. Just so there is no doubt, my party is on Saturday the 15th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I will send you the address and the time by message. I really would like you to be there." My mom said yes without looking away from some photos of centerpieces on her phone. As I walked to the car, I could still hear them from the window talking about colors, balloons, and a diaper cake. I sat behind the steering wheel for a moment before starting the engine. I looked at the house where I grew up. There I had learned that my things almost always took a back seat. That night, I decided that I did not need their enthusiasm to have a good time. I had my friends, and I was also going to invite the rest of the family myself. Aunts, uncles, cousins, my grandmother, people who could actually be happy for me. The following days were fine. I called my Aunt Sharon, my dad's sister, my Uncle Brian, my mom's brother, my cousins Leah and Mason, and my grandmother Eleanor. Everyone's reaction was much warmer than my parents'. "Of course I am going, honey," my grandmother told me. "I am so proud that you bought your house." By the end of that week, I already had about 15 people confirmed between friends and family. I felt happy, as if I were finally going to experience a moment that was truly mine. I called a catering service and ordered food for 20 people just in case. It was not a luxury banquet, but it was a more complete service than I was used to paying for. Trays of sandwiches, hot appetizers, salad, individual desserts, non-alcoholic drinks, delivery, basic setup, rental of some items, and a support person for a few hours. The lady who helped me was very kind and gave me the package for $850. I paid it to secure the date. I also started making lists for flowers, some extra chairs, table linens, ice, pretty napkins, and little details to make the house look more well kept. I calculated another $600 to finalize everything nicely. Between the food and the rest, I had already invested almost $1,500 in that party. It was not an expense I normally made. Precisely because of that, I wanted it to turn out well. Everything was on track until a week before the gathering, when I woke up with the worst stomach ache I had felt in months. I have had a peptic ulcer for about 3 years. Normally, I keep it pretty well controlled with medication and watching what I eat, but sometimes if I get stressed or neglect myself, it gets very bad. That morning was one of those times. The pain was so intense that I could not stand up straight. I took my usual medication, tried to eat something soft, and lay down with a heating pad. Nothing helped. By noon I was already vomiting, and the pain was getting worse. In the end, I resigned myself and ordered an Uber to go to the emergency room. Going alone was not the best idea, but at that moment I did not want to worry anyone or wait for someone to be able to take me. I was treated at a hospital not far from Arizona State University. I arrived doubled over in pain. The doctor examined me and ordered tests. After several hours of waiting, analysis, and checkups, he returned with the conclusion: "We are going to admit you for a few days. The condition is severe, and we want to stabilize you before it gets worse." And so I ended up in a hospital bed with 4 drip and intravenous medication, right when I most needed to be at my house. That same afternoon, I called my parents to let them know. My mom answered on the 3rd ring. "Hello, honey. What happened?" "Mom, I am in the hospital. My ulcer got complicated again, and they are going to keep me here for several days." "What? Oh no. Are you okay? Are they treating you well?" "Yes, I am fine. The doctors say I am going to be fine. I just need rest and for the treatment to take effect. But I am worried about the party next weekend. I do not know if I will be able to take care of what is missing." There was a pause. Then she said something that brought me relief at that moment. Do not cancel anything. I will help you. What? Well, yes, you just focus on recovering. I can look into the party stuff. You know I am good at organizing things. Besides, I have the emergency key. I can go into your house, receive whatever is needed, and leave everything ready. I felt a lump in my throat. I was tired, scared, and vulnerable. Hearing her say that seemed like exactly what I needed. Mom, really, that would be incredible. Thank you. You do not have to thank me. Tell me what is missing. The food is already paid for. But there are still decorations, setting up the house, renting some extra chairs, flowers, those details. I calculate about another $600. Well, send it to me and I will take care of it. I promise you it is going to look very pretty. I trusted her. I took out my cell phone and made a transfer using my banking app for $600. With that and the food service, I had almost $1,500 into the party, but at that moment it seemed fine. My mom was going to make sure everything was ready. It is done, I told her. Perfect, do not worry about a thing, Nicole. Tomorrow I will confirm with the food people and start buying the rest. Thank you, Mom. Seriously, this means a lot to me. I will call you tomorrow and keep you updated. When I hung up, I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders. My mom could be difficult, but nobody organized events like her. She had done birthdays, anniversaries, family reunions, and holiday gatherings for years. She knew how to get things done. The next few days in the hospital were calm. The doctors stabilized me with stronger medication and a strict diet. I felt better, although they warned me that for several weeks I would have to avoid alcohol, spicy food, citrus fruits, and heavy meals. My mom called me daily with updates, that she had already confirmed the food, that the decorations were already on their way to the house, that the chairs would be delivered on Saturday morning, and that everything was under control. She even told me that she had already warned the family not to bother me too much because I needed to rest. At that moment it seemed considerate. Later, I understood that this had also served her to notify everyone on her own terms. I chose to believe her. On Saturday, the day of the party, I was discharged around noon. The discharge took longer than I expected. Between paperwork, instructions, prescriptions, and waiting for the Uber, I left with just enough time. The gathering was at 2 o'clock. I was not going to arrive as calmly as I had imagined, but at least I would arrive. Dr. Anderson was clear before letting me go. Take it easy. The ulcer is improving, but stress can trigger it again. Avoid anything that upsets you. I nodded, ordered the ride, and gave my address. It was Saturday at noon. Traffic was not heavy, but it was not completely empty either. There was no rain and the weather helped. Even so, I kept checking the time every few minutes. As we got closer to Chandler, I started feeling nervous. I was almost going to see my house set up and ready to welcome the people who were truly happy for me. We were about 5 minutes away when I got a call. It was Haley, one of my closest friends. Friend, sorry for calling you like this, but I have to ask you something really weird. What happened? We just arrived at your house for the party, and your mom opened the door, but she does not want to let us in. I stayed quiet for a second. What do you mean she will not let you in? She says there is another party going on today, and that we are not invited. We are outside all confused. Nicole, what is going on? I do not know. That makes no sense. Let me call them. I hung up and immediately called my mom. She did not answer. Neither did my dad. The call to Kayla went through and then got cut off. That is when I began to understand that something was wrong. When we turned onto my street, I saw more cars than normal, some badly parked in front of the condominium. The car stopped in front of my house. I paid, got out carefully, and walked to the door. From outside, I could hear music and several voices. I put my key in, opened the door, and the first thing I saw were the decorations. Pink, white, and gold balloons everywhere. A big sign that said, "Welcome baby," plastic storks, cardboard onesies, and decorative little bottles on the tables. On my dining table there was a mountain of gifts, and in the kitchen, I saw uncovered trays with half-served food. Took me a few seconds to accept it. They had turned my housewarming party into Kayla's baby shower. I stood at the entrance trying to understand what I was seeing. My living room, the one I had worked so hard to make just the way I wanted, was full of relatives, a couple of Kayla's friends, and some of my mom's acquaintances. It was not a huge party, but it was enough to take up the whole house. They were eating the food I had paid for. Then my Aunt Sharon saw me. "Nicole, you are here. Oh honey, you are so sweet." Other relatives started coming over. My Uncle Brian, Leah, my grandmother Eleanor, all smiling as if this made sense. "What a beautiful gesture of yours," my grandmother told me. "Lending your house and changing your party to throw your sister's baby shower here. The house is gorgeous," my Uncle Brian added. "Your mom told us that you insisted on it, that you thought it was more important to celebrate Kayla first." I felt like I was going to get sick again. Not only had they used my party, my house, and my money, they had also lied to the whole family. They had told them that it had all been my idea. Since my mom always organized everything and had also asked them not to bother me because of my recovery, nobody wanted to question it. Before I could react, my parents appeared. "Nicole, you are here," my mom said with a tense smile. "Come to the kitchen. We need to talk." My dad took my arm gently but firmly. He did not drag me, but he guided me as if I were a little girl about to misbehave. We walked through the crowd to the kitchen. There were Kayla and Derek. Kayla was sitting on a chair next to the dining room, surrounded by gift bags, with her hands on her belly. As soon as we were out of earshot from most of the guests, I spoke. "What is this? What did you do with my party?" "Lower your voice," my mom told me through clenched teeth. "We have guests. They are my guests. It is my house." My dad stepped closer. "Nicole, calm down. You just got out of the hospital. That is exactly why I asked you for help, not for you to use my house without asking me." My mom let out a breath as if I were exaggerating. "Honey, do not look at it like that. Kayla is pregnant. She is very sensitive, and we thought you would understand. In the end, it is a family celebration. I did not authorize this. We are not taking anything away from you," she said. "We just took advantage of the fact that everything was already set up. You can have another party later. You used my money. It was food for the family, Nicole. It is not like it was wasted." I looked at her, unable to believe it. "You asked me for $600 to finish preparing my party, and they were used to prepare the house," she answered without lowering her gaze. "Do not turn this into a bigger problem." Kayla finally spoke. "Nicole, please, not right now. Do not do this today." Derek stayed quiet, uncomfortable, looking away. I felt a mixture of anger, exhaustion, and physical pain. My stomach was burning, my legs were trembling, but I no longer wanted to keep hearing explanations. I want this party to end, and I want everyone who came for the baby shower to leave. My dad frowned. "You are not going to make a scene in front of the family." "I am not making a scene. I am asking you to leave." "Nicole," my mom said with that condescending tone she used when I was a child. "You better go upstairs and rest. Tell them you felt sick and that is it. We will talk tomorrow." "No." Kayla put a hand to her chest. "I am pregnant, Nicole. Did you really have to do it like this?" After that, I stopped trying to explain it to them. I no longer wanted to convince them or argue in the kitchen of my own house. I turned around, walked slowly up to my bedroom, closed the door, and sat on the bed. My hands were shaking. I was still weak, my stomach was burning, and I barely had any strength. But I knew that if I went down again without support, they were going to keep treating me as if I were the problem. I felt ashamed to make the call, but it hurt. I had already asked them to leave, and they kept acting as if I had no right to decide what happened in my own home. I took out my cell phone and dialed 911. 911. "What is your emergency?" "Hello, I need assistance at my residence. There are people inside my house who refuse to leave." "Is it a family conflict?" "Yes. My family is throwing a party at my house without my permission. I already asked them to leave, and they will not do it. I live here, and I am the owner." They asked for the address, my name, and more details. I explained that there was no physical violence or weapons, but that I had just gotten out of the hospital and did not want the situation to escalate. "Support is being dispatched," they told me. "Remain in a safe place." I hung up and sat there listening from upstairs to the music and voices in my own house. I was in my room, but I felt cornered. A while passed. To me, it felt extremely long. Then the doorbell rang. The music went down suddenly. I heard my mom's voice saying, "Officers, There must be a misunderstanding. Before going down, I took out of the drawer the folder where I kept copies of the deed and the mortgage papers. I went downstairs with that folder in one hand and my keys in the other. There were 2 police officers at the entrance looking at the balloons, the baby sign, and all the decorations. "I am Nicole Bennett," I said. "I called. This is my house." One of the officers asked me for identification. I took my driver's license out of my bag. I also showed them the keys and the papers. They came in because my mom had an emergency key, I explained. But I did not authorize this party. I already asked them to leave, and they refused to do so. My mom chimed in right away. "We are her family. She is upset. She just got out of the hospital." "That does not change the fact that it is my house," I said. The police officer looked at my mom, then at my dad, and then at Kayla. "We are not going to solve the family problem here," he said. "But if she lives here, proves that it is her residence, and is asking you to leave, the sensible thing is for you to exit to prevent this from escalating." "But it is a family gathering," my dad insisted. "I understand," the officer replied. "That is why we are asking you to cooperate and discuss it later." Kayla started crying out of anger, not sadness. My mom was red in the face. Derek clenched his jaw as if he wanted to scold me about something but did not dare to do so in front of the police. My dad muttered something I could not understand and started gathering his things. My mom told Kayla to stand up. At the exit, amid complaints, bags, half-cleared plates, and people trying to understand what was happening, Derek managed to take a few things. But many gift bags were left piled up next to the dining room. As my parents, Kayla and Derek, left, they looked at me as if I had committed something unforgivable. When they left, the house fell into a strange silence. Family members, some of my parents' acquaintances, and 2 of Kayla's friends were still there. Everyone looked at me without knowing what to do. I breathed as best I could. My body could not take much more, but I needed to say it. "I am sorry for making you go through this," I said, "but I need to tell you what happened." And I told them everything. That I had organized a party to celebrate my new house, that I got sick with the ulcer and ended up hospitalized, that my mom offered to help, that I transferred money to her to finish preparing everything, that they used my food, my house, and my things to throw Kayla's baby shower without asking my permission, and that, furthermore, they told everyone it had been my decision. When I finished speaking, no one said anything for a few seconds. The first to react was my Aunt Sharon. "Nicole, forgive me. Your mom told us that you had wanted to change everything, that you insisted because you were so grateful to the family." My Uncle Brian shook his head. "We had no idea. We really did not know anything." My grandmother Eleanor looked serious, with a face I had rarely seen on her. "You do not do that," she said. "Using your house and your money like that is not right." Not everyone said something. Some people left feeling awkward. I did not blame them. It was a horrible situation for everyone. But my close family stayed. My Aunt Sharon, my Uncle Brian, my cousins, and my grandmother. And they not only stayed, they also started cleaning up. I looked around my living room full of pink, white, and gold balloons, my table occupied by baby gifts, the food that I had paid for, and the house messy with plates, cups, and napkins everywhere. I sat down on a chair because I was getting dizzy. "I paid almost $1,500 for this," I said. "I am not going to let it all go to waste." I took out my cell phone and called Haley. "Are you still nearby?" "Yes. We are at a coffee shop 2 streets away." "What happened?" "It is a long story, but you can come back now. The party is still on, even if it is in a different way." A while later, my real party began to take shape. My aunt, my cousins, and my friends helped me take down all the baby shower decorations. The balloons, the welcome baby sign, the little figurines, and the small bottles. We tossed everything into large bags. It took us time to bring some order back to the house. It did not look the way I had imagined, but at least it looked like my house again. The food was still usable because some of it had barely been served, and several trays were still sealed. We moved some furniture, wiped the table, arranged chairs, and set up spaces to sit and talk. Someone played music from their phone and connected it to my speaker. I barely moved. I gave directions from a chair, drinking water and eating only what my diet allowed. The others did the heavy lifting, and that, in a weird way, also helped me. It was not the party I had planned for weeks, but at least they were no longer taking it away from me. My friends arrived indignant when I told them everything. Haley hugged me carefully, as if she were going to break me. "You do not know how angry it made me to see you like that," she told me. "But you did the right thing." My aunt and uncle kept repeating that my parents had crossed a significant boundary. My grandmother hugged me more than once that afternoon, and for the first time in a long time, I felt that someone was taking me seriously. Around 7 o'clock, people started saying goodbye. They all told me to rest, that I had done the right thing, and that no one had the right to treat me like that. My friends offered to come back the next day to help me clean up at a relaxed pace. When they left, I stayed alone in the living room. There were bags of trash, leftover decorations, and some bags of baby gifts that they did not manage to take. I was not going to keep them. That did not belong to me. But I was not going to move anything that night either. My body had nothing left to give. Since my parents and Kayla left, the complaints started coming in. But the next morning, I woke up with 17 missed calls and many messages. My moms were the worst. "What a shame what you did. Your sister spent the whole time crying. You humiliated us in front of everyone. I do not know how we are going to get past this." Kayla's were loaded with anger. "I do not want to know anything about you. You ruined my day. I cannot believe you did this to me. I am pregnant, Nicole. You could have had a little consideration." My dad was more blunt but just as harsh. "What happened yesterday was unacceptable. You did not have to call the police. There were ways to fix it without resorting to that." I read everything waiting to feel guilt or sadness or something similar, but what I felt was exhaustion. And beneath that, a calm that surprised me. For the first time in my life, I had put a stop to them. I did not stay quiet so that peace would continue. I did not go up to my room to pretend I was sick while they enjoyed what I had paid for. I did not want to keep acting as if my house did not belong to me. I did not answer any messages. What I did was call a locksmith. "Good morning. I need to change the locks today. Do you have time?" "Yes, of course." "How many doors?" "The main one and the service entrance. I also need new keys for everything." Then I called the condominium manager and asked him to change the code for the common access gate. I did not give him many details. I just told him that an emergency key had been used without my permission and that I did not want to take any risks. While waiting for the locksmith, I gathered the bags of gifts that had been left behind. There were clothes, toys, baby bottles, small blankets, and other baby items. Some bags were open, others were not. I requested a delivery service and sent everything to Kayla's house. I did not include a note. It was not necessary. The locksmith arrived around noon. He did not ask anything. He just did his job. By the afternoon, I already had new locks, new keys, and the certainty that my parents would not enter my house again as if it were theirs too. For months have passed since then. I have not spoken to my parents or Kayla again. I find out about some things through the family. Kayla had her baby just over 2 months ago. It was a girl, according to my Aunt Sharon. My parents have been telling anyone willing to listen that I ruined Kayla's special day, and that they no longer know what to do with me. But not everyone believes them. My Aunt Sharon called me recently and told me straight out, "Your mom keeps saying that you exaggerated. But almost all of us know that what they did was wrong." Nobody completely bought their version. Nobody, by the way, tried to truly repair what happened. Nobody offered to give me the money back or take responsibility for what they had used. Nobody admitted to my face that they had abused my trust. The only thing they did was scold me for reacting, and I no longer miss that dynamic. I realized that I did not want to live measuring every word or yielding before someone even asked me to. I also did not want to keep being the one who understands everything, the one who waits, or the one who does not cause problems. My house feels peaceful now. I invite people over often. Sometimes just for a simple dinner, sometimes to grab coffee. It is not always spotless, and I do not care as much anymore. What matters to me is that whoever enters does so because I decide it, and nobody enters with a key that I have not authorized. Sometimes I wonder if one day I will talk to my parents or Kayla again. Maybe yes. Maybe when more time passes. Maybe when they can say something more than reproaches. Maybe never. To be honest, I am in no rush. After all this, I understood that loving my family did not mean letting them decide about my house, my money, or my health. For a long time, I confused being patient with putting up with more than I should. I also confused supporting with always yielding, even when it hurt me. That day, seeing my living room full of things I had not chosen, I understood that I also had the right to protect my house and my peace of mind. I do not know if my family will ever understand it. Now, when I lock the door from the inside, the house feels truly mine. For now, that is enough for me. Comment. I've been reflecting on this story, and it really made me think about how crucial it is to honor our own worth. Setting boundaries with family can feel really hard at first, but it protects the peace we all need. I believe taking responsibility for our happiness is one of the most loving things we can do for ourselves. When we choose to step back from situations that drain us, healing starts to happen naturally. You deserve to create a space where your voice matters and your efforts are respected. Kindness toward others starts with being kind enough to ourselves to not settle for less than we deserve. I hope this encourages you to pause and consider where you might need to draw a line in your own life. Choosing calm over constant people-pleasing brings a quiet strength that lasts. It is okay to prioritize your well-being even when it disappoints someone else. If this resonates with you, know that you are not alone in learning these lessons. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.